With the cryptocurrency market tumbling toward the downside, is Bitcoin still macro bullish? What are the key trigger points you should be paying attention to, and how are the short-term charts developing? Let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we are taking a look at Bitcoin on the short term and the macro charts, going over the recent price action, what to expect next, and how the charts are currently developing. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. That is the kind of content you are interested in. Join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, and the relevant economic news. If that is the kind of content you are interested in and you want more of that kind of content, you can join us on VIP. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trading justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our news, our help, our daily video chat. Again, we can show you all of that right over here. I am very active in all of these channels. If that is all you're interested in, go ahead and contact me in the pinned comment of the free channel by clicking my name, or click these links for more information. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. So taking a look at the last 24 hours of price action, we have seen, guys, so much volatility for Bitcoin and for altcoins alike. We're not going to focus on altcoins too much in today's video. Instead, we're going to do a separate analysis of altcoins on our second channel sometime during this week, maybe even tonight. So over the last 24 hours, we can see Bitcoin saw a bunch of volatility, sweeping back down to that $65,000 region, that prior low. Since then, we have bounced back upwards, even slightly wicking over our 50 EMA and that $67,000 region. But unfortunately, Bitcoin has not been able to sustain above that 66.6K low range resistance, which is going to be the range low resistance of our prior horizontal consolidation. Again, guys, for us to see continuations higher, we need to break above this level, we need to break this downtrend, and we need to confirm this move into support as deviation from the trend. As of right now, we do not have that confirmation, but we're discussing that in much more detail in just a moment when we get to our part of our Bitcoin analysis. Starting on the market data, 24-hour volume is up 132%. 142 billion. 24-hour liquidations up 452% at 280 million over here, guys. Absolutely massive amounts of liquidations. 231 million coming from long positions and 48 million coming from short positions. If we do take a look at these liquidation breakdowns, you can see of the 280 million in liquidations, only 39 million came from Bitcoin, and the remainder, we're looking around 250 million, came from the majority, basically just altcoins and Ethereum. Insane stuff. Looking at the DXY, again, the DXY is currently in a downtrend. We are looking for a directional continuation upward if we see a breakout of our downtrend on our RSI and the downtrend on the price action chart. A break of this trend line with a positive momentum shift should send the DXY upwards into this 107 to 108 region. Until then, we are going to be consolidating more or less sideways, as we can see over the last literally 2 to 3 months. If we see a breakdown on the RSI, we could see directional continuations lower. So again, we're in this consolidation phase. We are watching for decisions over here in terms of the overall price strength shifts, and thus we'll expect directional continuations in the way of which the strength is developing. Moving over to the S&P 500, still looking very strong, pushing up from yesterday's video. We're up about $50. We're looking at $5,550 now in the S&P 500. Again, we are expecting directional continuations into those highs of potentially 6,000 on the macro. The only time we're going to be flipping our bias bearish is if we start coming down and losing these prior low points. Again, we have been in a macro uptrend for a very long time. We've got our initial lows. even as far back over here, creating these higher lows on the chart, higher lows, laddering upwards into this continuation. It's only if we start breaking down from those structural levels will we see the trend we have been in show significant weakness and potential exhaustion. So again, expecting continuations higher, provided this level is able to sustain. We have been bullish on the S&P ever since 3,600. It's been a long journey, but it looks fantastic. Looking at the Dow Jones, well, we're not going to look at the Dow Jones today, actually, because I don't have the chart up, so we're just going to go ahead and move on. That is it for our market updates, guys. We don't have any major economic news coming out relatively soon, but we'll keep you posted if we do. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Bitcoin now, but a quick word from today's video sponsor before we do. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global, non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs, and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay, legends, let's jump straight into Bitcoin, taking a look at the weekly chart. So in today's video, we're focusing on the weekly, we're focusing on the short-term price action, and we're focusing on the macro charts. How is Bitcoin looking? So taking a look at our weekly chart here, guys, we can see the current weekly candle once again is holding that prior 2021 top. I'd only really be concerned for Bitcoin over here if we start breaking below this 2021 top. A loss of this level to me would be a strong indication we are possibly going to see continuations to the range low of our higher time frame consolidation region. So again, moving over to that shorter time frame chart to show you what that would look like if we do see a break of this support level, which we can see at 65,000, okay, this level over here. If we break below that region, this entire range below 65,000 all the way to 60,000 becomes a possible range of price action, meaning we could see continuations as low as 60,000 if we do see a breakdown of the support. So if you're going to remain bullish within this region, you have to really want to be seeing a sustained amount of price action above 64.5k the lowest and 65k at the best. If we start breaking down from that level, we're going to see some higher time frame macro implications, which we'll discuss in just a moment. So technically, Bitcoin is still bullish, provided it remains above 60,000. If we're zooming out to the macro, we're talking about the high time frame trend. We were bullish at 16.5k. Again, if we go to our VIP channel, guys, we told you our accumulation plan at 16.5k. We were buying at 16.5k on Scamwix, 18k, 20k. This was all the way back in this range. We've been holding ever since, looking for continuations. If we look at the trend, we had our lows, we had our higher lows, our higher lows, our higher lows, our higher lows. So we're looking at the macro trend for Bitcoin. It is only if we break back below that prior pi cycle high, we break back below that 60k region, would we see any significant high time frame structural weakness which could develop into a high time frame downtrend for Bitcoin. Until then, Bitcoin is still ranging between our 60k low and our $72,000 trigger point. We can see the annotations: a break below this level results in lower price action, a break above this level results in higher price action. For Bitcoin, that is still very much a obvious fact. The issue becomes when we start to look at altcoins, and we'll do in a second. Altcoins are looking horrendous in comparison to Bitcoin. The Bitcoin chart is still looking relatively good. I see absolutely no reason to be too cautious or too worried about what is happening while we are able to sustain above these levels of support on Bitcoin's chart. We're discussing in just a moment more what we expect. So looking at the weekly chart again, this was going to be our 2021 top. We saw deviation under the pi cycle high. That marked the end of the uptrend, and that indicated that this in fact was the top, and we saw macro continuations down. If we look at the current trigger level, this would be a trigger level. trigger level for directional moves downwards, as we have seen from rejections from that level in the past. So again, if we want to see directional continuations downwards, we are looking for breakdowns of 60,000 US dollars. Let's move over to the shorter time frame chart now and discuss what is happening from a higher time frame perspective on the hourly. So this is going to be our hourly chart, and if we zoom out to our daily, we can see one particular trend line of massive importance. And this is going to be Bitcoin's bull run support trend line. This is the bull run uptrend. As we said just then, we have all these higher lows developing, higher lows developing, higher lows developing, okay? We can see that if we look at that general trend and apply it to a trend, a diagonal trend on the chart, we come up with this trend line. And this trend line is a representation of the uptrend Bitcoin has been moving within since the initiation of the bull market. If we look at the high time frame, this was our bear market resistance. We broke through our bear market resistance. We had our ETF news pop up. This is when ETF news started ramping up a little bit, okay? This was October 2023. Since then, we've developed a uptrend spanning from our low point before the breakout, our initial retest, and continuation. Therefore, this trend line is a representation of the bull market Bitcoin has been in for the last 8 months. So we would only technically see a bear market, okay, if we were to break below this trend line. And therefore, Bitcoin could continue towards this region while staying macro bullish. It means we could see technically one more sweep of 60,000 and still remain macro bullish. Now, this would again apply or go to support the claim that a loss of $60,000 would likely, as a result in this uptrend being lost as well, and us entering a high time frame downtrend. So again, if you bought Bitcoin all the way down over here like I did, I have no intention of being too bearish over here until we start to see these high time frame structural breaks. I'm willing to forego a few percent profit, 10-15% profit, at the possibility for directional continuations for massive returns on my investment, then to exit too soon in anticipation of a potential pullback. That is me personally. How you decide to do it yourself is completely up to you. And again, your taxation obligations, and more importantly, the position of which you entered is going to make a massive difference in your ability to buffer any sort of corrections on the higher time frame. So keep that in mind. If we're looking at it from an objective point of view, Bitcoin is still in a uptrend above this level. There is another trend line we can draw from this level here, and we can see if we look at the price chart, we've actually retested that trend line over the last 24 hours. If we zoom in and actually just delete everything really quickly, we can see a trend from this level to our wick at 57K. We have retested that trend line. Now again, this goes ahead and supports the statement that 65,000 is a critical level of support where, if broken, we will likely see directional continuations back into that 60K region. As we can see, we have a very strong uptrend over here. So moving back to the chart we showed you before, okay, we can take a look. We had that midline of support right over here, that green box. That coincides with our uptrend. A loss of that support level results in a loss of this diagonal uptrend. And therefore, like we said prior, if we zoom back in, that opens up this entire lower range of price action as possible price movements. So that brings me back to my point once again. If you were looking at Bitcoin right now, does it look fantastic? No, it doesn't. But we are only a few percent away, 3% away from getting confirmation of lower prices. That is something to be aware of. Let's now talk about the 6-hour chart. What we can see over the last 6 hours, we have now seen a positive momentum shift in the Bitcoin momentum. We have seen the RSI breakout. We've got our equal highs according to our RSI over here. Okay, again, bearish divergence we take from that first point, and our second point of our retest, we have got that RSI downtrend. We've got that downtrend. But, and there's always a but, guys, remember, to see valid breakouts and to validate these breakouts, we need 3 points of confirmation. We've only got one over here. This is 1 point of confirmation. So a RSI breakout or a positive momentum shift with our price structure, okay? Structure being 67K, trend being the downtrend breaking is possibly a false break or a false signal or a fake out. This is something to be very considerate of. So this alone is not a strong enough indication that we are going upwards. We need to see the other 2 points alongside that to have more faith in that price action. Let's now zoom into the smaller time frame and discuss what is happening and what we are expecting over the next couple hours. So moving down to a 1 hour chart now, let's zoom up on in. We can see right over here, guys, we're struggling a whole lot over here with that 67k resistance. We've got our equal lows, our potential double bottom formation. We also know now, as per what we just showed you before, that this is going to be that diagonal uptrend. We have that diagonal trend basically running through this level over here. So we know that a loss of these low points would result in a breakdown of that macro uptrend, as well as it would trigger a continuation toward the downside. So if we were to see that directional breakdown, where would we see Bitcoin go? If we do zoom out on the chart, the next levels of support we are looking at is going to be around this region over here, which is going to be our 63.4k support. This is a very short-term support that we held for a few days as resistance before we finally broke up and saw that continuation higher. So this would be the next target for Bitcoin if we see a breakdown of that double bottom formation. If we zoom in once more, guys, for us to see continuations higher, what we can see in the price action on an hourly, we created our double lows, we broke through our highs, we've created a higher high. We would like to see a bottom over here for Bitcoin before we retest these lows again, ideally somewhere around 66,000 to then reverse the price action. The bullish scenario for Bitcoin, remember, only comes into play on this short term if it is able to break above the downtrending diagonal resistance, the $67,000 support, and that RSI trendline, triple confirmation, 3 points of validation, complete and continuation. Until then, be aware, downside risk is very possible. Let's now move over to the macro chart. So as everyone is aware, guys, the 4-year cycle has pretty much been invalidated a long time ago. We talked about this a very, very long time ago. We have it up because it is important to some degree. If we look at our technical trends, and our technical trends, irrespective of cyclical patterns, still hold significance, hold in a large degree of significance, as they are a derivative of the price action and don't express tops and bottoms, but more or less express the strength of price action, how that price action is developing, and we can actually contextualize that and infer based on where the price action is from structural perspectives, whether or not we are going to see tops on the macro chart or just local tops or reversals or yada, yada, yada. So in this instance, again, if we are looking at the price action, we can see both for altcoins and for Bitcoin, we are seeing something we haven't seen before during this phase of the cycle, this uptrend. We are seeing a potential early top for Bitcoin because we are breaking down from our high short and low short EMAs. Now, this is an indication that, again, volatility over a period of time has significantly reduced. And when we're looking at moving average based indicators, they are very much a reflection or representation of volatility over a period of time. They use volatility as a means to measure strength. So when we see massive consolidation, what we have seen for like 2-3 months, it is normal to see these moving average based indicators start to show signs of exhaustion and bearishness. But when we don't contextualize that information, it could be false alarms. So once more for Bitcoin, we need to see trend, structure, strength. We apply the same concepts on the higher time frame when we're looking for breakdowns and reversions in price. So again, regardless of what the indicators are showing, we need to see breakdowns of those trends and structural levels. Now, this happens to line up with those levels. If we look at Bitcoin, the low short EMA, the most important line on the Pi cycle indicator, lines up with a price point of around 60 to 61,000. Therefore, a breakdown of that level would also result in a consequence, which is a breakdown of, the horizontal consolidation Bitcoin has been in. Once again, I'll say it again, the Bitcoin chart is not technically on a high time frame topped out. According to our technical levels, according to our structural levels, for a reversion in or a reversal in price direction, we need to see a reversal in terms of our structural levels. Okay, the trend is your friend until it ends. We can suspect a top, we can speculate for a top, we can look for possibilities for a top, but until we have that structural breakdown, we have no confirmation that we are going to see prices drop below 60. Now, that is not the same for altcoins. Altcoins are looking horrendous, like I said, which we'll be discussing in a video probably today, at the end of today, another video on our second channel, because there's a lot to unpack there, which we can't go through in just one video. So that is it for Bitcoin, guys. I think right now, the best thing to do sometimes is to zoom out, look at your invalidations, watch these trigger points, watch these trends. And if you have not already, guys, look, we entered Bitcoin down over here. If you've been following the channel for a long time, you would know, you had opportunities to buy all the way up, okay? If you're in this region now and you're looking at your portfolio for Bitcoin, you're thinking, well, altcoins are getting wrecked, Bitcoin's been dropping, what should I do? This is a time to start planning for exit strategies. And most importantly, planning for invalidations. Looking at the chart and asking yourself, if Bitcoin were to drop to what price, at what price would I want to sell? And the best way to rebalance your portfolio, this is it, I'll tell you. I'll give you an example. Say you have $100,000. You put $100,000 into Bitcoin, it goes up 50%, okay? You've got $150,000 now, 50,000 being profit, 100,000 being principal investment. At the point of which you want to consider rebalancing, you ask yourself, if I didn't have $150,000 in Bitcoin, but instead I had $150,000 in cash, would I put that $150,000 in cash in Bitcoin at these prices? If you answer yes, you do not rebalance your portfolio. If you answer no, that is when you should be considering, maybe I should be rebalancing, maybe I should be reducing risk, maybe I should be altering my position size. These kind of questions should pop into your mind. Remember, guys, if you bought Bitcoin at the lows and you're up considerably, there is no harm in being cautious and being patient. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Thanks for watching. Again, at the end of the day, you have to make up your own decisions. You have to decide when it comes to investments based on a lot more than just the charts. Again, if you're in Australia, taxation policies, capital gains tax discounts of 50% only apply over 1 year of holding period. So those kind of things you have to consider when you're looking at potentially selling off your investment positions. Thanks for watching. Again, if you want more advice, go speak to your financial advisor, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you then.